Well, we tend to use the one on the wall, so we'll give it a couple more minutes. See if Councilor Wood is able to join us. I had
She's here.
I know.
a number of meetings today, and I have a very full day tomorrow with some meeting activity as well. End of day, had a handful of things thrown at me, so I've got some additions to the agenda. They were a little disjointed with me as well, so be patient, but we'll get those out to you. Also, just FYI for everyone, I may have shared, you should have gotten, I will be out Thursday and Friday. I will be gone through the weekend, but I should be back in my berth Monday morning.
You have the days to take?
I'm losing days, so I thought I'd take a couple.
Without pay.
Use or lose.
You know,
Yeah,
those people at the top, they don't get paid.
that's why I'm scared to take time.
I knew it.
Can't afford it. Oh, yeah, you know how to get me. You know I will be on the email.
We have that GPS tracking bracelet on your ankle.
I hope that's
Thought we
not
weren't gonna talk
private.
about
Well, I hope you're not like young ladies down at the government center who don't try to conceal it. In fact, they sort of wear it as a badge of honor walking around the parking lot. Seriously.
Now, Bernie, that wouldn't be a private email, would it?
No.
Hey, Meg.
Glad to see you, man.
Do you believe it?
Hey, yeah. Yeah, I do. Par for the
You
course.
believe Lindsey Graham has never sent an email? That's worse. That stuff you ought to go to jail for.
Exactly. Do you think that
pigeons.
Trey
Please.
Gowdy,
Pigeons.
for 6 months, oh, he's shocked now? Come on.
What was that?
Trey Gowdy said he's known for 6 months, but he's acting shocked. I mean, the whole lot down there is rotten from top down.
We focus on the wrong things. I once knew a wise man that kind of called it minutia something. And then we're gonna get on to big issues. Good divergence, so we can talk about cell phones while the children are starving in Africa. I think they still starve in Africa, don't they?
As far as I know.
In the
Yeah.
Bronx and
I don't think we're starting in the Bronx particularly, but Africa probably.
Well, Boko Haram's taking care of that.
Thomas.
I didn't realize that there was such a broad swath of discussion at the town of Plattsburgh. I mean,
You're
This
welcome
is-
any Monday night if you'd like to
I'm
come.
when we say work
amazed.
sessions are informal,
guess.
they're informal.
But this is, Greg, this is
We're gonna
pre-meeting
recite Shakespeare
stuff.
now.
That's right.
Oh,
That's right. We got
a
about.
friend of mine said,
6
don't
to
let your
7.
head hit the desk tonight. I don't know, maybe it will. No, I like Shakespeare.
If you like Shakespeare, you should check out something that may be coming to Katie'ville this summer.
What's that?
Fresh Air Theater.
Oh, yeah?
Shakespeare in the Park.
No, no kidding.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that would be good.
The clock's far ahead, huh?
Only moved them as
No,
far
it's
as we
only
had
6
to.
o'clock.
Okay, we are on task. Everyone is here. Officially opening at 7. First of all, our sign-in. I don't believe we have anyone that has any special need this evening to address the board, so go right to our guest, our commissioners. Thank you for coming. Glad you're feeling better. Thank you for rescheduling. You're here, and I hope I conveyed that in my simple communication, because we had some...
email?
Now it's out there, the cameras are rolling, thank you.
So sorry.
Sarcastic. No, that's all right, it's all right, I can take it. Broad shoulders. You kind of sidetracked to something I'm trying not to say.
And that wasn't even a Republican then.
We're bipartisan with our dates.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We had some questions, there were some concerns, we raised the same ones in the past. Are we discouraging our constituents from going to the polls as a result of consolidating. And we don't want to do that. Are we really saving any money? How much money are we saving? This room in particular, where we have 4 districts, I think, is that manageable? I think we have some internal issues with parking. Everybody wants to park here. You've got 4 sets of poll workers. They don't seem to want to take the back 40 and let the customers get near their doors. So, and I've observed people pulling in, they tend to pull in over here, and they'll kind of look, turn around and go out. And I assume they were here to vote. We're hoping to try and get the message to the poll workers here. Please park on that side of the building. Park, away from those front marks. Keep this wide open for people that want to come vote in the closest
And we
spots.
can certainly give them that kind of instruction.
But that would be important.
Yeah.
And there's a little concern, is it too casual? Is there too much of a carnival environment between people? And does that adversely impact the sacredness of the voting process?
I guess,
Those are,
what do you mean by that?
Well, I'm just capsulating some of the things that have come up and questions that I had and said, we need to bring the people in to have the answers to those questions. So I don't personally have a meaning really. I'm concerned about the parking. I'm concerned that I have observed people come in, turn around, and go out. I don't know that they came back.
I don't know if that's necessarily parking as much as it could be a judgment as to how long it's going to take to vote.
Could be all the above, right?
And they don't necessarily realize that there's 4 districts. So they see a mass of people, and they can easily make a judgment that,
But if they voted here in the past, which they should have, they should know there are 4 districts going on. And I guess clarifying my other comment, because I don't want to misrepresent that. I think the concern was, is the privacy and integrity of the vote, is that at all diminished as a result of so many people in such a small space? I don't know. And I don't know if anyone else had any other questions. Like I said, I'm trying to encapsulate. We were talking about that more than once in this group, and that's why I said we need to, have the 2 of you come in and talk to us.
From my perspective, the privacy thing doesn't concern me. As I'd come in and observed, just in passing by, I thought everybody was certainly professional and on point. I think many of our poll workers have been doing this for years.
Yes.
I think that's the benefit of a smaller rural community. People take great pride in doing it. So that isn't a concern. I wasn't here to witness cars, but I'd be curious, just more from a historical perspective about, what you think the strengths as well as the weaknesses are about having kind of a shared polling area such as this. So more from a matter of perspective.
I'd love a shared polling area if it was bigger than this.
Yeah.
We both come in and we saw the congestion. As far as the numbers of disenfranchising voters, it's right there. I mean, there's no up and down. The only difference is the presidential year that we saw when we pulled the numbers. The congestion, what is your suggestion? I mean, we tried to get the fire department down on Wallace Hill, and we couldn't. We got the figures as far as, went back to 2009, and there's no difference.
The 2009 through 2011 were when the polling site was over at Treadwell's Mills. And then the
Only that one month.
12, 13, and 14 are with the poll site here.
Yes.
So you can see that as far as District 5 is, and we didn't change the parameters as far as the election district for District 5. When we did the consolidation, Cumberland Head, there was a consolidation, out there with two polling districts. but not for District 5. And also the other was over South Plattsburgh and Clifton Park, yeah. Clifton Park,
Yeah.
yeah, where we consolidated there. But 5 wasn't, nothing changed with that. But you can see that there's, I mean, the numbers are, pretty much comparable. And as Sue said, the one big difference, which is always the case, was the presidential in 2012, where you had a bigger turnout. What we also did was we showed 1, 2, and 7 for those 3 years where we combined it here, so you could see, what the numbers were there, as far as the number of other people that were coming in to vote. And those are people that either had voted down here on the Tom Miller Road, or they had voted over in Wallace Hill as well as here. So, again, that they're, when we looked at it, we didn't see a significant difference in the numbers as far as, anybody not voting because of the fact that they were traveling, in one case maybe a mile difference or maybe 2 miles difference from where they were before. And Treadwell's Mills, it's a little bit further than that, but not much. But, and your suggestion certainly on the parking is who said, we can address that as far as our poll workers are
Yes.
concerned.
Yeah.
So that's,
We can tell them to park.
Yeah,
On the
if they
other
could do it on
side.
that side and,
Yeah.
for the field more.
right.
would-
Sure.
Would be,
Our
Oh.
office hasn't received complaints from the voters coming here. They usually call us.
it's good.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, we've had some other areas where, in the past, where if there's an issue, where we will get phone calls coming in
Mhm.
complaining about it. Or else we'll have the poll workers say, we had people that complained to us about, whatever the situation was at that particular poll site. Because we always make sure that they have a notebook to keep track of any, we tell them, if there's any comments by voters, we want to know about them. So they have a binder that they write any comments in, and then we review them afterwards.
Do you have the 2008 number for 5? Because that would be the test.
I mean, I can,
We
certainly,
can get it.
I can get it, it's not a big, it's not a big.
Because that way you compare, presidential to
Yeah,
presidential.
right,
Mm.
yeah. Yeah, that's not a problem to do that.
Okay.
If
I'm
you-
just thinking if in 2008 presidential was, I don't know, say, 590.
Yep,
Mhm.
sure.
If you get that to me, I'll distribute
Yeah,
it.
not a
Sure,
problem.
okay.
Not a problem, we can do that.
I don't own this issue. Anyone else? I mean, there were comments and questions and concerns.
I'm not bashful, so I'll just ask
Sure.
a question from you folks. I think it's one that we all need to look at. Do you have any suggestions, comments, or thoughts on how we collectively can do this better and do it to manage our finances? I mean, certainly there's a lot of mandates. I mean, the amount of paper that you need to have per machines and ballots and stuff like that is largely, outside of your folks' control, but I think you folks as commissioners don't always get it.
You threw in that financial, because I was going to ask you if you could enlarge this room.
No.
Okay.
Has anybody done that with a more central voting site for their entire municipality?
We found in Scholar Falls, we
Scholar
found the
Falls
church.
was the
It was in the
community
town
center.
hall, and it was just very congested, and we found the community center at the church. And that's worked out extremely well. Then in Dannemora, we found the QWL.
QWL facility,
Mhm.
because that had been in a place, the same thing, where it was not a good look. It wasn't great for handicap access or anything like that, and the QWL turned out to be a great spot for us. Yeah, so we have had some spots like that where we've been able to,
It's very large.
yeah,
Consolidated the districts there.
right. But beyond that, a lot of them are just geographically, didn't lend themselves to consolidation because they were so far apart, the polling locations. So, when we did that originally back in 2011, there were places where they would have liked to have consolidated, but they just couldn't because of the travel distances and so on. It was just too big.
I know when we first talked about this it was a savings, it wasn't astronomical, but it was a savings. And I think I was of the mind that, my God, if you want to vote, and you're looking for excuses, you'll find them. You know, driving that 2 miles shouldn't be the issue.
It should not be.
I mean, trust me, we had people at some locations, there's been consolidations where they would love it to be 3 or 4 miles, that they have to go additional distances. But it hasn't really made any significant difference in the numbers. You know, I mean, there are gonna be some people that, you know, like you said, for one reason or another, will find a reason, I'm just not gonna do it, you know, but by and large, it has not made a significant difference.
Mhm.
We just haven't found a facility in the town of Plattsburgh that's larger than this one, that's in central location.
But why would that save any money? Because you have to have the same number of people for each of those districts
We
separately.
cut way back once we consolidated.
Yeah, we
We're
are not using
supposed
the
to have
same.
it, but we cut them back.
In the number of poll workers per district, when you have a separate site, we require more people for that particular location than we do when we have several that we've consolidated. I mean, that's the case for Scarlet Falls, that's the case for Peru, that's the case for here. The state says you have to have X number of poll workers, just like the state said you have to have X number of ballots. We've taken some liberties with that, and
it's worked.
it's
And
worked.
it's worked,
Yeah.
absolutely. When it's consolidated,
Yeah.
they share
So you're still
their
not
services
using
with each
two
other.
people of each party per particular district?
Pardon?
Even though they're, 1, 2, and 7 go here, or whatever, they all go in the same place,
Mhm.
you're still using 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats for each one, aren't you?
Sometimes 4,
So
depending on the population,
What,
the voting population.
for this particular building, let me rephrase the question. What were the cuts? Who was cut, what positions, how many? What was the savings when we consolidated into this building?
Oh, we'd have to go back and look at that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that one of the positions I can tell you right off the bat were 3 coordinators.
Coordinators.
Because you needed a coordinator for each location. But certainly by consolidating the Wallace Hill, the Tom Mill Road, and the other, we didn't use the same complement of workers, poll workers, as we were using for each of those individual sites. I mean, we could go back and get numbers for you, but, we definitely, it would have been way too many people in here for the space.
Yeah.
And as Sue said, it's shared services. I mean, we have different people will help out, each other in here, where you just didn't have that capability when we had separate poll sites.
Tell me this, I'm just looking at the numbers again,
Yeah.
and, we were looking at the before consolidation and prior to consolidation.
Yeah.
What would you consider to be a significant difference? I'm looking at here, it looks like it's about on the average, you're doing, I pulled out the presidential year, maybe the difference of 50 voters. Would that be considered significant?
15?
15?
50.
50?
50? And I mean, not in any given particular year, because
No, on the average. I just wondering, where's your cutoff point, say, yeah, that makes a difference, or it doesn't make a difference?
I guess I didn't,
Maybe you didn't
we
look.
haven't picked a number, Jim,
Okay.
that said what makes, what's a cutoff number as far
I'm
as
just
what's
saying,
significant
prior,
or
now there
not.
may be other factors, I'm just thinking, I pulled out the presidential year, because that's sort of,
Mhm.
but if you do the others, it's still, prior to consolidation, the voting was heavier, probably about 50 voters per year. And I just wondered if, we're at a point saying, oh, wait a minute, yeah, that is impacting, as opposed to,
Right.
Well, I would go back and look at, was it a local year?
Well, I'm
You
just
go back
doing-
and look at many
Yeah, and
different
what I did
aspects
was
of
I
it.
took, if you had average 14 and 13 and 14, and then the other 3, it's, you're off by about 50 per year.
The only, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe we were simplifying it, but 10 and 14 would be comparable years, I believe.
No,
11 and 14.
No,
I mean, they could be, but part of it depends on I mean, it depends a lot on who's running and what the races are.
Absolutely.
I mean, yes, it was a gubernatorial year in both years.
That's what I'm saying.
But it doesn't mean that the interest in the races were,
No.
the turnout was gonna be the same. That
No, but I
that would make a
understand
difference,
that.
yeah.
You've got basically, historically, when I've looked at numbers, you know, I'd say there's like two spikes, okay? And the big spike is the presidential election, and the next spike is the gubernatorial election, okay? And, you know, those would be like 10 and 14, you know, 8 and 12 would be your presidential elections. Now, 10 and, or 9, let me get it straight in my own head. Um, 9 and 11 would be 2 years of local elections.
9 and 11, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you have congressional elections in
No, not in the
Yeah.
off years, not in the odd years.
yeah. And those numbers, prior to consolidation, 9 and 11, and then you go up to 13, and there is a drop on that 13th year. You go from 9 to 13 or 11 to 13, you see a drop.
You've got, if you take those 2 years, you got an average of 274 versus 233, so.
So there is a drop.
Well, we can blame it all on consolidating, or we can blame it on the candidate didn't go out and campaign. You know what I mean? That there's so many factors. There are so many factors in there.
Dead people.
Well, no, I mean, you don't know I mean, a lot of it does depend on the races that are happening on a given year.
Absolutely.
Why?
Well, but I'm just saying.
I don't mean
If
whether
we're
it's
comparing one
presidential
year
or
against
governor,
1 year, but if you
I
had,
mean,
if you, say if you get another year, if you have 3 years, and
Yeah.
a 3-year average against another 3 different year average, and you're off on the average 50 per year.
Right.
then-
And we can give you the 2008, you know, there was no intent to leave that out.
Oh, I
for a
understand.
particular
No.
reason. So I'll be happy to
We're not-
I'm
provide
just
that
saying if the
for you.
2000, as if the 2008 were, say 50 or 60 higher than the 2012, then, you know.
Right.
Well, I think you even go back further than 2008, because what you really want to look at is there a trend of voters declining too?
Mhm.
Because if you're looking at 2009 and 2011, for example, 2011 is smaller than 2009, and you could see, I mean, that would give you another sense for the types of trends. So I think you gotta go back much further than 2008, and I completely understand where you folks are coming from. It's much larger than just consolidation.
Absolutely.
you
There are a
know?
lot of variables.
Yeah.
So how many districts vote here?
4.
for? I
Right.
think that's one too many. I think that it's not big enough to have 4 in here.
What
You
is your
can't have
suggestion?
any vote.
What would be your suggestion?
You have to move one out. There's no room, under your rules for poll checkers. You have to be there all the time, under your rules. There's no room for anybody to be there. You try to put one at each of these, 4 places, it's practically impossible.
I know
What-
that's extremely important to you, but it isn't to us.
Yeah.
Well,
We're looking at the voters and the availability and the accessibility to them to go in and
well, when we
vote.
find out that it's also gone down 50 voters over here, or 30 to 50 voters in the particular district, and we're not able to even have people here, I think that's a significant difference.
Have you just tried rearranging the room, the way it's set up, with 4 districts in here?
I mean, we have done that.
We have,
As
we can
far-
try some more.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly something that can, we can do that. But we have done some changes in the past. to try to make the traffic flow and so on.
Because I will say
Smooth
it is, I didn't experience this personally, but people did say it's kind of intimidating to walk in and have everybody just like stare at you and you're like, where do I go? I don't know what district I'm in. So maybe just having the districts and the tables set up at that end of the room and the voting on this end, it would be less of
Mhm.
a like,
Or you
Maybe a
using
checker
the
out,
dividing
maybe a
wall.
checker outside.
To
Tell
tell
them
them
which
which district
district.
they go
Yeah, sure.
to.
Do it like
Which that's
Hanford
easy
does.
enough to do.
Sure.
At Hanford, you know, when you go there,
I
they'll
know,
sit.
I know.
Right. But that's
That's
something.
pretty much what we need to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That-
really.
That's great.
I mean, I
You
listen
know what
to
we're talking
them.
about. Have you been to Hanford?
Go down Lane 5.
Yeah, Lane
Yeah.
Five.
It's like, can't I pick my own? It's just, no.
But that's
You're
easy,
absolutely
that's easy
right.
enough to do.
Yeah.
There's room outside there that we can have somebody sit,
And
so
I
that
think-
people come in and it's direct them.
I think you can look at whether or not the town can be of assistance. Is there too much stuff in the room? I don't know how much of the town's stuff gets removed from this room.
That you don't use, I mean, you're using tables and chairs.
Yeah,
Yes.
but all those, I mean, I don't know if all the chairs are there.
it just, it
normally.
seems to me
Are they?
there's not much room, much going on that end. It's kind of like dead space, and if having more room is the issue,
I think
that could be
they had
resolved.
voters going over to mark their ballots over.
Yeah, I thought that
over
there
there. I
was,
think they had things set up on those different tables.
so people can.
on the other side.
Privacy sleeves
We
and
can
so
work
on.
up
But
with
we can
schematics
we can work
and,
up with that, sure.
And
Yeah.
use the outside room for, at least tell people what
District
district they belong
belong
in.
in, yeah. Which would alleviate congestion at the table when somebody's being looked up and said, you know, here's my name, where do I vote, or what district do I go to? And that's certainly something that we could do, yeah. For sure.
What's your
We can do that as well.
friendliest greeter
Right.
out there in the hall to
Get that Hanford guy.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Yeah.
I'm three places.
to make them feel.
Yeah, but that's a good suggestion, doing that.
It is.
And we've done that in other spots too, where, in fact, down at the government center, where we had issues where people were coming in and they weren't quite sure. And we had, you know, people were directing them, so it made it go smoother.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone have anything else?
Okay.
So I think what I heard is we're gonna talk about if
Parking.
there's a better way to reconfigure
Yes.
parking, a
Yes.
greeter that easily tells somebody where they should go in the room,
Yes,
and getting some numbers for 2008.
yes.
And finding out, you know, what do we say? I mean, okay, I understand what you're saying, there's gotta be, according to the law now, you have to have a person that's in charge of, and then you have 2 people for each party. So that's 5 people per district. I haven't seen it decrease except for the ones that you mentioned, those 3. I haven't seen it decrease and the cost is going up.
Well, no, the cost hasn't gone up.
No, it hasn't.
It hasn't gone up for 2 reasons. One of them is because when we were first starting this, we were having to do about 100% for ballots, okay? This last year, we did 65%, which is at 40, and the cost went from 57 cents a ballot to 48 cents a ballot. So that's a significant drop when you go from, you know, when you drop down 35% of the ballots that you're producing and your cost goes down from 57 cents to 48 cents, 9 cents a ballot. So, you know, right away. The other thing is this, the machines, as you know, we had a maintenance, because the warranty ran out. There was a maintenance contract that we had to do for those machines, and countywide, that was about almost $26,000. We were able to come up with some grant money to pay that, so that the towns didn't have to pay the maintenance on the machines for 3 years or 40 months. But the main thing is the fact that there's significantly fewer ballots, and the price on the ballots went down.
So you did that based on which election it is, whether it's presidential, whether it's governor, whether it's local?
Yeah,
For
yeah.
instance, next year's a local, you wouldn't expect that there's gonna be as many people voting?
Yeah, what we do is, Thomas, we'll look back at whatever type of election it is. So if it's a local election, we'll go back to the previous couple of local elections and say, what was the percentage of turnout of the voters? And if it's presidential, obviously we'll bump it up but we'll go back historically, the same thing, or governors, the same thing. And by doing that, I mean, we've saved the town a significant amount of money.
Did you come close to being out of ballots or anything?
No,
Estimated it that way?
no, we do not. No. So, yeah, I mean, otherwise, all we're doing is landfilling ballots. I mean,
We look
every
at, we look at
2 years.
history, but we also keep our ears open.
Right,
And you know when there's turmoil in the town and there's gonna be a bigger
election.
election, you know, you just know it, and we try to plan according to that.
Well, that's good planning.
It's,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, because, I mean, some towns will have almost nobody running, or the candidates are gonna be unopposed.
yeah,
You're not gonna need the ballots that you're gonna be if you had a highly contested race. So, you know, those are the types of things that we take into account when we order the ballots.
Well, that's no small part of having you here tonight, so we can hear direct from you.
Right.
You know, we can get our perceptions responded to and
Sure.
hear from the people.
we'll certainly direct the inspectors to park on the other side.
Yeah,
We will draw the new schematic, and we'll come out here and set it up. That was, you're absolutely right on that.
One of the
How it
things
can be rearranged.
that we could probably do, Bernie, is have some of our guys put cones out, the spaces. So, you know, just, you could clearly say, you know, they've got reserved parking spaces for you up in the, you know, up on the back section and stuff like that, so it just clearly,
For the workers?
yeah,
for the workers.
for the poll
Yeah.
workers, so, you know,
Right.
just not confusion, so, just
Right.
up in the back.
Yeah,
It'd
that'd
be
be
easier
good.
if we said park behind the cones
Yeah.
on the south side.
Yeah.
Sure,
That would be
That's a good
helpful.
that would work, sure,
Yeah.
good, yeah.
Helps them to know.
Absolutely. And, you know, if there's furniture in here that we don't need, you know, for the,
We can work with
Have
our
our
people.
guys
to
take
get
that.
if you guys can take it out, that would certainly help.
Whatever helps, absolutely.
Yeah.
We can draw the schematic,
Yeah.
we can
So
sit,
you
we
can-
can both come out here
Right.
with a
So you can just
coordinator and.
identify
do
which
some
things you're
measuring.
not gonna use, and then when you're planning to set up, and then we can have it moved out.
Mhm.
Right,
When you do that and come up, let me know ahead, so I'll get Art to join you.
sure,
So
Yeah.
he knows what he needs to do.
absolutely. Yeah, be happy to do that. This year, fortunately, we're not gonna have a, you know, a potential election until September,
Mhm.
no federals or anything, so that'll be,
That we're aware of.
yeah.
We're so far.
Save a little bit of money that way.
Yeah, we might have congressional, I don't know.
That's a lot of
No.
cost.
Supreme Court.
Traditional.
Yeah, and that would be September though, so.
Yeah, they give you get a lot
Yeah,
of
But-
sworn in.
yeah, but other than that,
But usually they know, I mean, you know, come June, you know
right,
whether there's gonna be or
a
not.
primary or not. Yeah, because they have to circulate petitions, so you're gonna know if people are, you know, so we'll have plenty of advance notice.
Anyone have anything else for Sue or Greg? Sue, Greg, do you have anything else for us? We appreciate your time.
Absolutely, happy to do
We're
it.
good.
And we-
We'll
and
be
we-
doing school elections starting
Yeah.
next
Oh,
year
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
They can no longer use the lever machines.
On the schools, they can't?
yeah, they got this is the last year for that.
What's the cost gonna be to the school districts?
Pretty much like each town.
Tell me
It's
this,
gonna go about double.
the levers seem to work so well, is there any reason, I mean, when you talk to people, any reason why they had to switch?
Other than Florida.
Florida,
Other than
Is that it?
Florida.
Yeah.
absolutely,
That was it.
that is it.
That started the ball rolling.
But the levers, it was nothing like Florida.
I
They
know.
weren't
It didn't
hanging
matter,
shag.
it was a federal thing where the
Talking
federal
about
government
To
said
move
for
to a
everybody
different
had to.
type
But I would think
machine.
paper would be more like the hanging chads in our machine.
No, because what you're doing is, first of all, the color, it depends, everybody's not the same. Some of them have a touch screen, where they don't have paper, they just have a computer touch screen.
Yeah.
But there were issues with that this last year, so, where somebody would push one and the other one would pop up, and somebody said, oh, it was a programming error. So, but at least with the paper one, yeah, some
We
of
have the
the
paper, we have the tape,
tape,
we have the disc.
disc, so, you know, if we have to, we could pull that paper ballot out and clearly see what the vote was, you know? And in fact, we have to do that anyway, because we have to do our 3% audit after every election, where we randomly select machines from the whole county, and then we have to physically count every vote against the tapes to make sure that there wasn't an error.
How has that going?
We never had a problem,
Great.
yeah. fortunately.
If there is, we have to go to 5%. And if there is, we
We
have to go to
a full
100%.
100%.
Wow.
So we count carefully.
It's such a stressful day for everybody. I mean, all the workers, God bless them,
Oh,
it's
yes.
long days.
We couldn't do it without them.
I mean, I know how hard it has been in the past to
Yeah.
find people.
Still is.
And really, we just want to make sure we're doing the best, the right thing for our
Yes,
constituency.
absolutely. That's all we want.
That's
Absolutely.
all it's about.
Yeah.
That's all it's about.
Comes up another question about the workers. I know, it seems like you've had some difficulties getting people
We
to
do, we
work.
do.
Are you using like people for part of a day and then another part of the day?
Some of them.
So
We prefer not, because you
yeah.
have to sign on at the beginning, you have to sign off at the end.
So even if you're part-time, you gotta sign on the beginning and then you go away and then you come back at 2 o'clock
It's
and
like a
then you
bank
handle the
teller,
rest
you
of the
don't
day?
leave your drawer unless you're balanced.
So,
I'm just wondering, because it's so hard to get, I mean,
Yeah.
It's very
I know most of the people are older and, you know, that's a heck of a long day even for,
yeah, it is, you know, and some areas of, you know, are tougher to get workers for than others. I mean, amazingly, the more rural communities that are more widespread,
Easier.
you got all the workers you can use. You get in the city and other places, it's like, really?
Volunteer.
Yeah, so.
Well, thank you very much. We don't want to take any more of your
Thank you.
time.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Look forward to working with you.
We'll,
Sue, I think you're forgetting a pen.
I don't, it's not mine.
It was on the floor. I picked it up.
Oh,
Okay.
That's a test.
red.
Might have
It's red, I don't do red.
Yeah.
Figured that.
Take care. Bye.
Charges.
Thanks, Red.
Yeah, bye.
If you would do that on both of those pages, I would be pleased. So we can pay the bill.
is this for like, last time I went down?
Yeah.
Look, I thought he signed something. I went in to see Pat and saw signed.
Sign again.
You're going to jail.
Next topic for discussion was newsletter. Had a very little conversation with Meg. I think it's time. We made some changes. We went from a quarter to a semi-annual, spring, summer, winter, fall, from a glossy, printed, mailed to every property owner to it's on the internet, and here's a handful. I don't think that worked. I think whatever we spent on that, we didn't get much bang for it. I know why we did it as well as anybody. But I think we really aren't doing the service to our constituents by not getting this thing to their door, in their home, on their counter, on the coffee table, in the office. It's more likely to be picked up, browsed through. They'll get information, they'll look at the pictures, look for pictures of the kids. I agreed, we cut for the right reasons. I think we got the wrong results. We ended up with a number of printed copies we throw away that were, ready to hand out, let us know, forget it. We dropped at mom and pops. How long do you think they stayed there before the next bird free trader came? They got thrown to make space. There's a reason it worked the way it worked. It was good. When we put it in their laps, if we need to cut back a little bit, maybe on the quality of the gloss, maybe on the number of pages, I don't know. But my strong recommendation would be that we do at least a twice-a-year mailing, spring, summer, winter, fall, whatever combination you want, if not a quarterly. The postage is the heavy part, but I look at the town of Saranac. It's a very simple newsletter, but as I talk to people, they get excited about it. You see it in their home. Oh, look, they're doing this. And when I get it quarterly, it isn't trying to ram, a half a year's message in there. It's too much. Spring and summer are two different beasts with programs and needs.
How much does it cost to mail one issue?
I knew you were going to ask that, and I didn't do my homework, but I will. I will do that.
Do you
I don't
know,
know if you
Meg?
remember, we spent about $2,500, I think.
That's only your.
Nobody, what strictly business for cost per one out?
But
Weight
that's a
and
much
everything's
thicker.
different, yeah.
Well, no, I just wondered,
I think it was around $2,500, for some reason that number's.
I'm-
I'll
well,
find out and
yeah.
email it to her.
Okay.
think, Brittany, you need to have a budget. You need to know how much you wanna spend, and then you just have to figure out.
Well, you're right, and that's what we did, and we did nothing, because we let the budget drive it. What I'm proposing is, we should let the need drive the budget, because it's that important.
But if you have a budget, you can figure out a way to do what you need to do in that budget.
Right, I'd rather spend the money and go no gloss, black and white,
Yeah.
and get it out to as many people as possible,
Absolutely.
and cut the cost
Zero
down that way.
pages.
But I have the last one that we have up on my computer, I just pulled it up because it's on the town's website. There's a couple of things, and they're small editorial type things in the sense that, I think I'd like to see more purposeful articles. And like a lot of people, it's one more thing on the heap to get done. It's like, okay, I gotta get that, newsletter article together and stuff like that. But the thing that made me laugh the most about the last issue was everybody was like, as I'm writing this, it's winter and it's very cold out. Well, yes, winter's cold, we know that. Take that paragraph out and give me content. Tell me what the town's doing, so we can, I think a lot of us too are potentially working on some different and unique projects. I think there's some updates, but as it goes back to it, what I really believe that we should be doing is to collaborate with partners such as the chamber. They put out the chamber notes. Asked them if they would be willing to email this out to across the chamber notes email distribution list. The Development Corporation, I believe, also has one. And then I think we should also be building up infrastructure, digital infrastructure, where if people want to receive it, that we send it out to people and then we remove them from the mailing list. I think that's the responsible thing to do to cut down on some of those costs. A lot of organizations do not send out their minutes to their members. They ask people, would you be willing not to receive the minutes by mail and receive e-communication?
You can do a digital e-newsletter,
Right.
send that out.
So I think we can do a combination of things, but I think a lot of folks, if we gave them that that option, would potentially sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is, if it is $1, if that's what it costs to produce it and to mail it, and it comes out 4 times a year, every property owner would be paying $4 a year, which isn't exactly, not going to drive you into bankruptcy. Probably, hopefully not. The other thing too, I agree with Mike on the articles, but I think there should be some emphasis on financial stuff, so people know with taxes how much they're paying and what part of it is school tax, what part of it is county, and comparisons, what water rates are in the town of Plattsburgh, what they are in other towns, what are the costs and so forth, what are the costs to renew things, because a lot of times there's a misunderstanding when people get a tax bill and they get a tax bill and say my taxes are X. Well, tell them what they are.
Can we get, I think one of the things we ought to do, and maybe, we put out a publication, advertise that we are looking for a committee. We would like to have a town newsletter committee. A group of volunteers who would work, on the newsletter. In particular, they would work on content, etc.
Good idea.
And
You share that load instead of having it fall on, okay? I think there are people out there that would like the idea of being a contributor to the
But I think if we're gonna go to that, and I don't disagree with the need to help kind of expand our kind of accessibility and communication, but I think it should be a communications committee. I think there's lots of opportunity from a wider, scope. We talked about if there's a water break, how are we communicating that stuff effectively to people in the moment? Are we putting stuff out to New York Alert? Are we putting stuff out to the fire department's, digital boards?
You just took like 6 giant steps ahead of where we are.
Right, but we're 6 giant steps very far behind though. I mean, there are things between social media that's free. We could potentially get an intern from, the college that's doing stuff like Due North Magazine and, the Saranac Review and a wide variety of stuff. But I think that's where having a committee, not just putting them in a little tiny box and saying, you're gonna do a quarterly newsletter, give them some opportunity to make some recommendations, so.
I think the other thing too that we have is, we have Meg, who's sort of, that's her profession, and so.
We've hired, remember, a
She's going to be
editor to help pull this together, do the proofing, bring suggestions about design and graphics and so on. And maybe there's a combination with that person to help them find 2 or 3 other individuals with some skills that we could work to refocus, repurpose the magazine. And I think you could find that with all of our stories in there, that we could be content rich and fluff lean.
Last year
I would say pages.
it was kind of like, I did what Bonnie did. Bonnie told me what to do and I just did it.
Yeah, it was
And-
year one.
Right, and all the department heads submit their stuff and it went through, but I think we could really make
Yeah,
it.
and we need to limit what some of them feel they need to share, what really is needed in there.
And I think you
More
drive
structure.
it, you can drive it back just to the website. You know, there is some good information there. You know, I think of Codes, for example, they're posting photos of the current projects that they're working on. You know what I mean? If people don't spend a page of 3 or 4 photos, you know, maybe you do one and say,
Send
hey,
them there.
you know, check this out.
And that'll bolster our online
Yeah.
traffic.
You know, and I think if we can pull this first one off with a direct mailing, I think your idea, we could gather that from individual mailboxes. There could be a very simple tear-off on one of our pages that says, in the future, I would prefer to receive the newsletter, I would like to save a branch on a tree, please email it to me at, you know, if my email address changes, I'll be responsible to let town know, and we pull them right out.
Yeah.
Then I'd feel better that the people that need the mail are getting it, and the ones that, because they used to pop up all over the place also in the community, because people had them, they brought them in. If you're on the mailing list in your professional office, you got it, it's on the coffee table, they're gone.
But I think if we had a small card though, Jackie, I think, for example, would be a great ambassador for that, to say, hey, you're coming to, you know, drop off your taxes and so on and so forth. You know, we're gonna be sending out the newsletter. Do you wanna receive it in mail? Do you wanna, you know, do you want an email copy? People could just zip something
We
right
could
there.
stick that on
We
our
could
water
do a-
bills.
Yeah, we could do
Exactly.
a cross comparison type thing, and if people are on the list, we put them off and we, you know, save the money, so.
We all agree then.
I think I made some notes, I think we're all in agreement. Maybe we've heard enough, if you wouldn't mind, Meg, coming in, we can sit down and try to more formally structure what we think we're hearing and how we're going to do it. Something I can share with department heads, and in the interim, I will see what's in this year's budget. I'll find out what postage is, and, you know, we can start going
If you
forward.
think we should have a committee, does everybody agree with that? Because I can start asking people, I know some people
I
that probably would be interested
I
in
think we're all
that.
in agreement.
Sure.
I mean, but let our editor be the screening house for this committee.
May I ask how the committee is going to know what a particular department really did? I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you, Michael, on the fact that, you know, there's a lot of fluff and you really want to hear the stuff, but the ones who know that are the ones that are operating the
Well, the departments will still write it, but this, one of the things this committee would do would be edit. But before they even write them in, we're going to come back to them with some more focus of what we want from them. We haven't done that before, just, you know, tell your story, wave your flag.
Well, I'm pretty sure when you tell your writers, I want an article, or, you know, that's 750 words, blah, right? And
Yeah.
you give them a little bit of a parameter, and then you kind of, no?
And then I cross my fingers and hope it comes out good.
Yeah.
It's been 2 days editing,
Yeah.
so I'll do that. Sure.
But I do think that, I know that everybody likes to wave the flag, but I do think there's a certain element of hard news that has to be in there.
I like that idea of
And just say,
finances and
this
that.
is what it costs, this is what the highway tax is in the town of Plattsburgh, and compare with the other towns. And some we may be favorable comparison, some not so favorable.
But it's the news.
But it's hard news, and we can combine that with fluff, but hard news has got to be the core.
Let's get together, not this week, maybe next if you can, or the week after, but sooner rather than later, So we can sort of structure this a bit.
Because we're already going into, this is gonna be spring, summer, we're not gonna,
Well, it might be summer. We may skip spring
right,
to have the budget we need to go out to everybody this first time.
cause like,
We need to find out from the water department, when does their next bill go? Maybe we can get an insert in there, if you'd like to get the newsletter only electronic, we need to weed that in. I'd rather skip a season and do something better than be pressured by.
The other thing too, when you put it out once every 3 months, it's not gonna be terribly topical.
That's right.
You know, I mean.
How about once every 6? That's even worse, and that's what we've been doing.
but this one's gonna be a whole year. It was spring, summer, the last one we did.
Yeah, well, we may have a whole skip in there, and the new one comes out, you know, the new and improved summer newsletter.
How many did we mail in the past, Jim?
I just don't remember that number, and I didn't do my homework for it tonight, but I will do it. I will do it.
Bernie, can you put something in the water bill, you know, one of those funky little bills where you tear off this?
Yeah, we can do something.
You can put stuff in
They
there?
can
Absolutely.
they can do a note on the
sticker.
front, sticker on the front, but they also
Good
have
idea.
a spot that they can print a message on.
Good idea.
Yeah, and we may need to do it multiple times in multiple ways to target those people that will respond and say, hey, just email, that's fine.
Could it be on the tax bill too, because it's the same?
Probably not, because that comes from the county. We don't
Yeah.
print
I guess it
that.
does, doesn't it?
We don't print it.
But I think having,
We have it
even the
vehicles
cards
to do
here
it.
though, you know what I mean?
Sure,
As people
at the
come in.
clerk's desk,
Yeah.
absolutely. Every time you buy a dog license, here you go, we're doing a new newsletter, we're gonna mail unless you tell us, email. And that'll keep costs down, but you can at least feel like you're targeting everybody. I don't think we're targeting anybody now. All right, anything else on that? Meg and I will get a report back, Meg will get a report back on our meeting. We'll gather some more specifics, so as soon as you can, look at your calendar, let me know, Meg, and we'll have a grand reopening of the newsletter. I think that's important. The next item that I have, and I'm not sure what Deborah gave you, but I'm confident you should find a resolution number 64 for the purchase of a Flig pump.
For
I've got some-
$7,960.80.
I've got some other stuff on that, I've got some photos, I don't know if you have that. The photos may not be real important unless somebody knowledgeable could go through that. The bottom line is, that's a pump we need. We've looked at a variety of options. We don't like throwing good money after failing systems. And we're anxious right now. There's a lot of talk about when this frost goes, hold on, you got excited about the breaks you had so far. Wait, see what's next, because the frost is so deep. There's a lot of concern with so much snow, if it warms rapidly, if we get some rain. That pump up there has failed us regularly. We've had some real issues with that last year. We would like to be proactive. We have to do this anyway. Get the new pump in. Hopefully, it's going to take time before they can get it delivered.
You're talking about down by the-
When we met with Scott, he,
No, up by Trade Road on 22.
Oh, on the trade.
when we met with Scott, he was pretty
He did
adamant
that,
that
yeah.
he had to have this pump.
Yeah, otherwise we're gonna have,
Is that a brand and name?
I believe so, yes.
Brand
That's
name.
the, yeah, I
Gotta throw in a vowel there.
So, I mean, I've got stuff, if you don't need any more than that, I'm gonna put the stuff with the resolution.
The only thing Debbie didn't put was the price, and now we're going with the price that he shows.
We've got a
7,000.
price, I thought was an amount not to exceed, somewhere in the
We've got a
resolution.
product, we've got a total project price of $7,966.80.
Plus the crate.
It's not in the resolution, not.
No, if you look at the back of that, it says the freight is
Yeah.
included.
But it
It
doesn't say anything.
deletes,
Doesn't say anything.
costs above do not include freight, and it crossed out
So
freight.
we're picking it up, right?
Well, we don't know if we can pick it up yet, if we can, we will.
Otherwise, you're gonna freight.
Boy, I thought I had a number on that.
Otherwise,
Let me
you're
just
gonna
fumble a little more. Remember I said
So it
things
says
came
costs don't include tax or installation.
I've got the draft without
They
a
do
number, but I
include
thought I had one with a number on it before that?
So you saw one that said that it didn't have.
Yes, sir.
Does not cost.
Bernie,
Sir,
It's this back section I was referring to.
explains.
this letter,
Tax.
Turn it over.
oh yeah, I've got that. I've got that price, but I thought I had a resolution, they had slugged that in.
Yeah, no, they didn't write it in. It's not in the resolution.
Well,
Said purchase and the amount of, and it says waiting for final quote, plus shipping and handling. But then they deleted, and it said freight would be included in the price of 79.
yeah. What I would suggest, then, we know the total project price of 8,000. The worst scenario for shipping is another 1,000. We're trying to find more information about picking it up, getting it delivered without that because of moving the project along faster as much as anything, and saving the $1,000. If we were to pass this for an amount not to exceed 9,000, you're going to be in there. Cover all bases, if everybody's comfortable.
Yeah, they see at the bottom, he's got information regarding if you want to do air freight.
Yeah.
Or if you want to do.
Well, we're not gonna solve it tonight.
Well, we want to,
You've got time,
but if we're gonna pass this tonight, we need a
Right.
number on it.
So let's.
but 8,000 is not going to do it.
No, I said 9, an amount not to exceed 9, which would be the total cost plus the worst scenario for shipping.
If we did
It's
the,
bound to be
if we
less
did the
than
4 to 5 air freight delivery, and with the total project fee would come to $8,901.08, if I did the math correctly, so.
So if we set an amount not to exceed 9,000, it should be okay. All right, so we would correct that resolve to be an amount not to exceed 9,000.
But if they crossed off freight. Wait on.
Yep.
So Nate don't need those costs to include the freight.
I don't know,
Well-
there's some question there, whether it is or isn't.
And again, if we pick it up, there won't be any freight. And that's something being pursued pending the approval to make the purchase.
But we're not spending more than
We're
9,000
not gonna spend more than 9,000, that keeps it simple.
Cohoes is only what, Latham?
Yeah.
From here, it's only 130 miles.
We've done that before,
Yeah.
and it works very well.
I picked it up a couple times.
All right, so everybody has that down?
They
We
want
would-
you to go get that dog.
No, this is David calling back. Hello?
Well,
Hey, see.
go ahead and take it, I'll read this.
I was just
I
gonna
wanna
say, let's
know
just read it.
where that's going. So we're going to insert an amount not to exceed 9,000. Everybody understands why? Resolution 64, purchase of Flint pump for I-87 pump station. Whereas the I-87 wastewater pump station is in need of a replacement submersible wastewater pump, and a field service inspection report was performed determining that the cost to repair is greater than a new pump. And whereas resolution number 13-311 authorizes standardization of submersible wastewater pumps, and Flint submersible pumps was determined to meet town standards. And whereas Xylem Water Solutions USA, Inc. has submitted documentation stating Emmerich Associates is the authorized certified distributor for Flint pumps and is the exclusive supplier of Flint products in the upstate New York market area. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board approves said purchase and that the water and wastewater director is hereby authorized to make said purchase in an amount not to exceed $9,000 plus shipping and handling. And be it further resolved that payment be made payable from the 2015 water wastewater budget accounts, and that a copy of this resolution be given to the water wastewater department and finance manager. Do I have a motion? Ms. LaFave, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cashman,
So
any
we take out
discussion?
Plus shipping and handling. Because if we're including that extra money, the extra $1,000, that's what it is, right?
Let's do including shipping and handling. We'll just change it to including. Amount not to exceed $9,000, including shipping and handling. That okay with you, Meg? Mike,
No objection.
any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Martin Manna,
Yes.
Michael Cassidy.
Yes.
Meg Lepe.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes, resolution carries. Then you've got the minutes from the previous meeting. Of course, please look those over. Let us know what you discovered, if anything. And there's a mix of some things, so again, just be patient. We have a request for a conference. I think everything is in place for this. I don't know what time you've had to go through it. I believe it's well documented.
There's certainly a number of different presentations.
Mhm. And that one will come up next time. And please don't be shy about contacting Mel or Meg to get some further details on the program if you have some. There's another draft, and Jim came in a couple times today, was concerned with this one, with the backhoe. I have a revised resolution. Again, I'm not sure what you have in your packet. This was done late. They, of course, have need. Once they've done their homework, and if you look through this, I think you'll rest assured that our highway department has worked hard to find the best value. I think a couple of you went in and talked to Jim about this. They would like to get going. I've always been a little protective of our more formal meetings where we take more formal action, but they're all taped, they're all out there.
I don't see any differences.
I don't know because I'm not 100% sure what she gave you. This is the new one I have. Maybe it is the same as the old one. I don't quite honestly see why we would wait further on this so they can begin the process.
What process would they begin here, Brian?
Purchase.
But have they put out the bid?
This is under state contract.
Oh, state contract.
Yep.
Okay.
And they also, one of the things we seem to have learned early this year is you don't just find state contract and say, there, I got the best price, because that will vary too.
Where does it say state contract?
It does not in the.
It doesn't in the resolution.
It should.
I would
Well,
agree.
we can edit that in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
I know he checked on a number of things and checked on used ones, and the used one was just very slightly less, $10,000 less than a brand new one. And he said, you know, no sense in getting all those miles on it when it's brand new. Also, with the other one was $10,000 back, cut off cost some of it, and that would be the difference. So if you got the used one, it's only a matter of $10,000, and we're getting a new one that'll last.
Tom, I'm looking for state contract somewhere in the documentation, and
I didn't find it.
I'm not finding it either.
He told me it was, but I haven't.
I heard the
seen it.
same.
He told me it was, I just don't see it, so perhaps before we vote on it, you could just check to make sure that he gets.
Or we can vote on it pending that it is indeed state contract or below state contract price, and if
Well, you
not.
could just have a different letter that just says that, you know.
Well, it'd have to be in state contract.
Right, which is why I'm confident it is, but I'm not seeing that reference in
It may
any of
not
those.
be, it may not be state contract, it may be that he's buying it hooked on another
That's
Piggyback,
piggyback.
piggyback, yeah.
but there's no reference to any of that,
Right.
which there needs to be. Well, we can wait. I'll just bring that to his attention. I'll have to redo his letter. I thought that was in there. Okay, well, we'll have to get that.
That's what more and more towns are doing now, is a piggyback, because you can't get.
Well, because the piggybacks are better than the state contract.
Yeah.
So the piggybacks are basically bids other counties or towns.
Other counties or towns have done.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
It has saved money.
Yep.
Road closures, it's that time of year again, even though it doesn't feel it, so you've got a note there.
Well, I thought it was so hot today, I thought sure that they'd need to close the roads.
Yeah. It's crazy how almost above freezing can be hot.
How did you receive a letter dated March 16,
Which one are you talking about?
2015, highway request for town road closure.
How did we receive a letter?
Right here.
Says the supervisor received a letter dated March 16.
No, it's in the resolution itself, Bernie.
Right here. There,
He didn't.
well, I've got his letter, but I don't know why there's a March date on it.
Okay, March 6th, I don't know.
The letter is being dated, that doesn't make sense.
Sort of back to
The March, no, they're confusing the date of the letter with the date he wants the roads closed by. The date for the road closure is March 16. That's not the date of the letter. That, where there's an effective date with a blank, that should be March 16. And then the date of the letter should be whatever the letter is, which isn't finalized yet. Okay, so thank you, good catch. That's why it's a draft. State Conference for Historians, I don't know if you have any questions about that, I can try to answer. Or...
I was curious, it's 3 or 4 day, no, 3 day convention's only gone to 1 day? And taking his own car?
Yes, he's taking his own vehicle.
And the reasons for that?
There are a couple, one of the reasons, this one's Corning, yeah. One of the reasons is the distance. He wants some flexibility with his car while he's there. And we have some concern about our fleet vehicles going to Corning and back. We haven't had good success, and the cost of sending a team down on a flatbed to bring it back is even more. So it's kind of, he's willing, and the vehicle's not good. Right now, Alan has been having to use Goldie because his blue Jeep is having a little trouble with its transmission. I met with Steve today, we talked about that, tried to decide what the best route to go was. Based on the miles, which are much lower, it's got new tires. Everything else seems okay, but we really are having transmission problems with Jeeps. We decided to repair that, but we want to swap that one with the brown Jeep because of the difference in miles. And the brown Jeep doesn't have a good track record, but if he has a breakdown, he's somewhere in the town of Plattsburgh, he doesn't like traveling to Corning to pick up the car. So that's some of the why. And that other stuff we're going to be
I
doing.
guess it's a long trip to go to Corning.
Mhm.
And driving down one day and turning back the next, I just don't understand why he wouldn't be staying for, I did look at the presentations, and they do repeat presentations on another day,
Mhm.
so perhaps he's not going to, he doesn't need to take or doesn't want to take one of those other ones. He's picked out which ones he wanted to do.
And the longer he's
But-
there, the more the cost goes up too, of course.
Well, I'm just looking at the cost of travel,
Mhm.
and what the cost of the one night is not much compared to. You said $109. At first it was $218, and I don't quite understand, it was knocked down $218 to $109. And is that,
The standard room is 109. I don't know, obviously he thought initially he might stay the 2 days, which is why I had 218.
well, that's what I wondered.
But if there's not enough to warrant it for him or us, then I'm glad he's coming back.
He's out of there before noon on Sunday.
Anything else on that? And as I said, again, go to the horse's mouth if you have some other specific concerns or questions. And if you do any of those, I always, if we're all included or you share that, it's always information that somebody else maybe didn't ask and they were wondering. The next item, historian, you don't have, I don't think. One about the repair of the lifts? Okay. Our lift is, one of the lifts is about 25 years old, the other is 6 years old. One of the things you might find interesting is that the repair of the lifts is being charged to building and grounds. That really just underscores that these lifts don't just do highway equipment, we manage our entire fleet. The mechanics use them for vehicles from all departments. There are some needs, there are repairs that they've been asking for some time. I think Art's getting around to it. This is another one of those. If you want more time to process it, that's fine. If you are of the mind to act on that tonight, then they can simply get started. It's a piece of equipment we use all the time.
This is not something that we needed to get bids on because it's on the agenda.
Whatever the comfort zone of the group is, I will convey.
I have no problem acting on this resolution.
Everybody else all right?
Then just spell superintendent at the end.
We're gonna be bringing those trucks in and, you know, hopefully taking all those, you know, all the winter snow removal equipment off them and getting them ready for
Yeah, and it's,
spring work.
remember, we do our own inspections, we're doing oil changes, all kinds of maintenance and repair on, I don't even know what number of vehicles we have beyond snowplows and pickup trucks and cars, it just goes on and on.
Well, it needs to be done and.
It needs to be done. All right.
I'm assuming that they've gotten their useful life out of it.
I think that's a good assumption. Well, we're gonna continue to use them, we just have to repair them. We're not buying new ones.
Seals and stuff need to be done.
So that'll be done by this other company, right? Total Tool?
I'm going to call this resolution number 65, repair of 2 in-ground lifts in the highway garage, and ask for a reading.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh Superintendent of Buildings and Grounds has requested approval for the repair of 2 in-ground lifts. The primary lifts utilized by the town of Plattsburgh Highway Department, and whereas the town of Plattsburgh Building and Grounds Department obtained a quote from Total Tools Limited, a sole source for the repair of these lifts, and stated that Total Tool Limited at 10 Kids Lane, Castleton, New York, 12033, is the authorized to repair of these lifts and the exclusive supplier of products in the upstate New York market area. Therefore be resolved, the town board, town of Plattsburgh, does hereby approve said repair and authorization of the building and grounds superintendent to proceed with the purchase and the repair of said lifts from Total Tool Limited in the amount not to exceed $6,131.16. And it be further resolved that payment be made payable from the 2015 Building and Grounds budget account, and that a copy of this resolution be given to the Building and Grounds Superintendent, Highway Superintendent, and to the Finance Manager.
Have a motion.
Move.
Mr. Woods, second.
Second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Mannix,
Yes.
Michael Cashman,
Yeah, I was just reading something. Yes.
okay, Meg Lefebvre, and Bernie Bass.
Yes, resolution carries.
Can I give you my 2 cents?
Yeah.
This company is excellent. They've done several things for my company and stuff. And on one of the lifts and the hoist, they went above and beyond. They not only repaired it, but they changed to the bigger size at no charge. Because the other piston was scored, and they went to the next bigger size.
Sounds like
At no charge.
which the frustration is many times you don't have much choice. Thank God they are good.
Yes, exactly.
The next one is another new one that came at me late. I'm not even, I know I took a quick look at this once, but we've had a request from Squan Construction to to release their escrow account. Most of the time, when we get these requests, it's a project that did a deposit, the project's done. As you know, you get a letter usually from Codes Planning, says they've complied with all of the town's requirements, so we can release these final funds. This is the opposite of that. This concerns Nextel that has pulled their antenna off our tanks on Hammond and down by the college. Hammond and Clinton Community Tanks, which is some loss of revenue. And this process has gone on for some time. Dick Comey has written off on it. Scott has, etc. Now, my comment to them was, I want a letter from Scott for the file, because these are his water tanks, that he is satisfied that they have completed all of the decommissioning requirements that we had. You'll find in there a copy from Pyramid Network indicating the release. The exhibit that I signed is an internal document. They didn't want a copy of it once it was signed. They didn't, I went through it twice. I don't see a letter from Scott. So, I mean, I have no problem acting on it pending the documentation from the director that he's satisfied with the work that's been done for some time.
Tremendous urgency, next week.
Which would be next week. I mean, it's their money, not my money. They would like their $5,000, or their $1,500, I guess, is what's left. Which we all know how Mr. Comey charges. We thought it was a small miracle there was anything left. I'll leave that at that. So, you know, whatever your comfort zone is, I'm not going to push this one. If it's something we can check off, fine. I would only act on it favorably pending the review of the letter from the director that he's satisfied. He indicated so verbally, but I want a letter for the file. Or consent.
Well,
for all I care.
I think we can act on it next Monday,
I don't have a problem with that.
okay?
And we'll get his letter and do that.
And I had commented on it at the time, but in terms of the backhoe loader, likewise, if Jim can get us clarification that this is either state contract price purchase or a purchase under
Piggyback, yeah.
piggyback,
Yep,
you know, we can act.
totally agree.
Also, we had earlier, Resolution 1558, we approved the purchase of a Bobcat mini excavator. And likewise on that resolution, we did not have any clarification of that kind of an issue.
I think the documentation, he had 3 bids on that one. Right?
We had 3 bids, and the dealer here was the lowest down. Matter of fact, they give them a better deal.
I think it was below state
It was
contract.
below
Yeah.
state.
Below state.
Yeah.
And we were happy that
I
it was
think the
actually local
resolution-
too.
The resolution should have
Reference that.
referenced.
It would be good for the file, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Those are things sometimes we pick up after the fact, but it's
Yep.
important. Yeah, we note that the quotes had to be solicited, but we don't verify that they were received.
Well, they were with the documentation.
It was in the backup
It's in the package
documentation,
that-
yeah.
That I had, included the spill and the things, and
Yep.
they got
Yep.
the 3 of them,
I
and when it went back to this dealer, the dealer dropped the price more than what the others wanted.
Dealers are a little bit hungry. That's all the stuff I have, other than I'm going to look for a motion to go into an executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular individual. Have a
Make a-
motion, movement on that, Meg?
Right. I'll second that.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion? All in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We'll go into executive at 8:22.
We got anything?
I have nothing for after. Rick, if you want to bag it up, go ahead and I will close it when we're done. We will not take any action.